Did you know that from the very beginning of Silksong, you're already in the presence of a very hidden area that you might have missed? In Moss Grotto, the place where Hornet first starts her journey off in Pharloom, there's actually a secret hidden away behind an invisible opening here where you can find a statue that you can break for early resources. And if you go even further, you can find this Marmero taking a nap. Or have you heard that there's actually an entry in the Hunter's Journal where Hornet writes about her boyfriends or maybe girlfriends, and that she talks about having had a lot of partnerships throughout her life? Well, these are just two examples of the many hidden details and secrets throughout Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, Silksong was my personal pick for Game of the Year in 2025. In fact, I've already spent nearly 100 hours here in Pharloom already, and I see myself spending a lot more time here in the future. Whether I'm exploring across beautiful landscapes, finding grand architecture, uncovering new abilities and skills, or sometimes simply just trying to survive in daunting locations and against actually insane enemies. Oh my god. Dude, you're a jerk. Oh no. Oh no. No! I hate this guy. There's a lot to see and a lot to do in Hollow Knight Silksong. This game also has Sherma in it, and I think that's actually really important to point out. And today, I'm going to be sharing the hidden details and rare occurrences of Hollow Knight Silksong, and why these details help make Silksong one of the most iconic games of all time. And quick note, what might be obvious to you may not be obvious to others, and vice versa. Let me know what your favorites are in the comments down below, because this game is so unbelievably rich and I would love to hear how your experiences have been going so far, and I'm excited to share mine with you now. This is LED, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you like content like this. Throughout your time in Silksong, there are all kinds of areas that you'll unlock and characters that you'll meet. There are some characters and creatures that I absolutely love to see, while there are others that I hope to never see again. So, what if I told you that there was actually a secret method to completely remove a certain reoccurring enemy from the game? Well, forever. If you've already made your way into the Holy Citadel and have found yourself in the expansive high halls, then you've probably already come across the Claw Maidens. This is an enemy that I absolutely despise. They are a spider-like creature with a white cloak draped over their head and parts of their body, and they'll descend from the skies to begin to steal your silk. This is bad. Your silk is your lifeline. It provides your ability to heal, to perform necessary movement to stay safe, and your means of using certain attacks. And the Claw Maiden is able to take all of that away from you. And maybe even worse, they'll usually spawn while in clusters of other enemies, so this ability of theirs to steal your silk can quickly become dangerous and unmanageable. So I don't know about you, but we don't like this guy. But there's a way to never have to encounter the Claw Maiden ever again, and this is how. In the lower area of High Halls, to the right of the Forum, aka the home of the worst gauntlet in the game, there is a hallway where at the end of it, you'll find a movable cart. If you push the cart away from the wall and position it right under here, you can jump up to reach an opening in the ceiling. This will take you to a room full of never-ending Claw Maidens. But don't make the same mistake that I did and try to defeat them all here, because they're actually endless in this room. It's literally impossible to defeat them all while you're here. What you'll actually want to do is push another movable cart here to this spot, where you'll be able to find a secret opening in the ceiling. And it's here you'll find a collection of hundreds of silk threads formed closely together. This is the Claw Maiden core, and if you break it, you'll never have to see another Claw Maiden ever again. Some may argue that if you choose not to cut it, the lower room is actually a great place to farm for shards, a necessary resource in the game. But for me, I was more than happy to never have to see this creature ever again throughout my playthrough. But let me know what you think is the best thing to do down in the comments below. And if there's ever another enemy that you never want to see again, you should probably head over to the Hunter's March, because did you know that there is technically another way to get rid of enemies out of your sight while you're here? But it's not in the same way that you might expect. While you're here, you'll encounter all kinds of creatures, enemies, and traps. Holy crap, I hate these traps. All throughout these tunnels, the Hunter's March is home to a colony of ant-like creatures. And if you've ever been on a picnic, then you'll know that ants are known to come together to collect and move food or whatever objects that they decide that they want. Ants are actually super strong, especially this one. God, this guy gave me so much trouble at the start of the game when I was trying to figure out how to use the Hunter's Crest. That diagonal pogo was pretty difficult for me to adjust to right after Hollow Knight. But anyways, did you know that while you're here in Hunter's March, once you defeat an enemy, you can wait for the ants to come and take away their body? So you'll technically never have to see them again. But be warned, because they'll take more than just fallen enemies. If you've left rosary beads, shards, or even tack tools on the ground for too long, the ants will come and collect those too. So just keep an eye on things. I love this kind of detail to the world because it just makes it feel so alive and real, seeing these creatures do day-to-day activities that you'd expect them to do, even if you don't take the time to notice it right away. These ants are living active lives. And these ants are actually really important to the overall world and ecosystem, because did you know that Gilly, a little bug that you could find hiding in Hunter's March covered in leaves, will actually scold Hornet for destroying the ant queen Carmelita, arguably one of the best bosses in the game. In the late game of Silksong, you'll need to collect at least 3 different hearts throughout the world in order to progress the story, and one of those hearts that you can collect is Carmelita's. But it's not required, as there are actually a total of 4 hearts that you can gather, which I'll talk about a little later on. But if you do defeat Carmelita to collect her heart, and then return to the scene later on, there's actually a secret dialogue between Hornet and Gilly, where Gilly is actually kind of upset over what you just did to Carmelita. She'll ask Hornet, "You, miss? But why? Why destroy something so vital?" To which Hornet will pretty much say, "'Cause I wanted to," which I don't really know how to feel about personally. But either way, Hornet can do all kinds of questionable things throughout Silksong. Like, did you know that it's actually possible for Hornet to overdose, and that you might actually go out of your way to make her do so? It's actually kind of a broken ability if you manage to pull this off. Well, let me explain. Plasmium, also known as lifeblood, is a mysterious liquid that we first saw in the original Hollow Knight. It's this beautiful blue color that I absolutely love, but I fear it might be like a moth to the flame. Well, in Silksong, Hornet can actually inject herself with the liquid using a plasmium phial, which is a tool that you can get in Wormways after completing a quest for Alchemist Zolotl. And like in Hollow Knight, your masks are your health, and you can collect additional ones throughout your time playing. But if Hornet injects herself with Plasmium, it will add an extra special unit of health in the form of a blue mask. But there's a limit to the amount of times that you can inject yourself before you run out of Plasmium. These limits are there to make sure that you don't just abuse it and end up having an absolutely broken ability that can effectively give you never-ending life. Unless you use a secret. There's a hidden mechanic to force yourself to overdose on the plasmium, and therefore make yourself effectively have infinitely regenerating health. In order to accomplish this, you'll need to equip the Architect Crest, which has an ability that allows you to use Craft Bind. This one skill will give you the ability to replenish your plasmium phial anywhere without using a bench, as long as you have enough silk and shell shards to do so. And if you use this ability to continuously inject yourself, eventually every single one of your masks will turn into this beautiful blue, which will allow you to passively regenerate health infinitely. But just be careful to give yourself enough breathing space to gain back your strength when you need it if you choose to use this secret ability. I heard that there are actually other methods to achieve a similar effect, so if you know of a different way that you prefer, let me know down in the comments. If you're enjoying the video, consider supporting the channel directly via the links in the description. This video took a long time to research and put together, so any way that you can help to support will go a long way for me. But anyways, did you know that there's a boss that you probably missed entirely? In fact, I didn't even know about this until I already 100% of the game. In the Sands of Karak, there's a secret opening that is hidden in the most obscure place that will lead you to the Watcher on the Edge. By the time that I finally found this boss, I was way overpowered and the fight was just too easy at that point, but almost felt somewhat anticlimactic given that this was the final boss I fought lot before any DLC release, but while we're on the subject of strength, everyone knows that Hornet has a lot of power, not only physically, but she also demonstrates having a lot of intelligence and mental fortitude. This girl's seen a lot throughout her life. She might want to consider seeing a therapist one day, but something tells me she'll just want to squeeze a couple fleas extra hard to make her feel better, because if you didn't know, Hornet has a soft spot and absolutely loves fluffy things. But there's this other small detail that you might have missed that actually makes me really feel for her in a time when she's the most vulnerable. And that's when she's in prison. This prison is called the Slab, and it's located in the northwest of Pharloom. At some point in the story, Hornet will become a prisoner, and her signature red cloak and needle will be taken away from her. And if she sits on a bench in this state, where she's literally stripped of the things that are so important to her and her sense of self, she'll just stare down the camera. This is not typical and only happens when she's in this particular state. Her stare here is in stark contrast to when she typically sits on a bench. Usually she's looking around curiously and can rest more easily. So if you're in this stage of the story, please make sure to go kick some butt and get her things back ASAP, because I hate to see her like this. But it's this kind of small detail that really adds more to her character and makes me love her even more. It's also here in the Slab that you can find Broodmother. Broodmother is the matriarch and the mother of all those who watch over the prison. She can be found in a secret cave that is only accessible once you accept the Wailing Mother wish in Songclave. Not only is Broodmother the source of all of those who maintain the prison, but she's also a boss that you can defeat. But did you know that if you decide to return to this cave after you've beaten her, you can actually find one of her babies is sat alone asking for everyone to give her food. It's currently understood that this little broodling is now preparing to become the new Broodmother, and that all of the prison guards are gathering food for her to grow up to eventually be the new monarch, and eventually lay eggs to continue the cycle and maintain the Slab. Well, there's another character here in the prison that you might have missed, because you'll only ever encounter him by playing your needle in a very particular cell just east of the center of the Slab. It's here that once the song of your needle is played, the old penitent will emerge. When you speak with him, he refuses to leave, even when Hornet suggests to free him. And it seems that he believes that he must pay the price of a grave sin that he committed that he refuses to talk about. He says, "By the grace of the Citadel, I am here. As a penitent, here I can hide from the shame of my sins until they are withered away by time." And he willingly stays as a prisoner. And it seems like the longer you spend time in Pharloom, the more you'll start noticing things that make you realize just how messed up and twisted the world here is, and just how far characters will go in order to maintain what is familiar and safe to them, even if it's at their own detriment. Pharloom is truly thriving under capitalistic and manipulative tactics, hidden under the guise of a need for religious faith and piety. Such is the case in the Underworks, where there's a secret room that you can find in the ceiling. If you do this and traverse through the area here, behind a doorway you can find Loam. Loam is a large, lanky creature who works tirelessly by running endlessly on a treadmill. Loam believes that their work will be rewarded and noticed by those above in the Citadel, but it's clear to us that he's long been forgotten, and his work will most likely forever go unnoticed and never end. This is highlighted even further, because if you didn't know, you can actually have Hornet run on a treadmill beside Loam. Hornet will run and run, watching a needle slowly move towards the completion above you, and eventually, all of your work is rewarded with a single rosary bead that is thrown to the ground. And this is so messed up, because it turns out that if you go back to visit Loam in Act 3, it turns out he's died. But if you'll play your needle in here, he'll tell you about how he's finally free. He no longer has to run, and that he's free from toil. God, this game. there are so many other instances throughout this world where Pharloom's residents are being taken advantage of. But something that I find very satisfying is that there are actually some secret methods to undo some of these practices and moments that allow you to gain agency in a system that is just so exploitative. For example, did you know that in Far Fields at the Pilgrim's Rest, there's actually a way to disable the entrance fee? This shop is owned by Mort, and when you first arrive at the shop, you'll be asked to pay 30 rosaries in order to enter, and that must be paid anytime you want to come back in the shop. But there's actually a way to disable the entry fee and never be taken advantage of by this absolute dweeb ever again. After you first enter into the shop, you can see a set of cogs above the doorway. You can actually break these cogs and never have to pay the entry fee ever again, which I definitely recommend that you do. And there's another similar situation in the Flea Caravan that I somehow find even more satisfying, because while on your journeys throughout Pharloom, you might have come across Krat. He is a flea who is trapped in Greymoor, and if you find him and free him, he'll eventually return to the Flea Caravan, where you can utilize his spa to regain silk. But you'll need to pay 10 rosaries every time to use this. And man, do I hate this guy. He's an absolute creep, first of all, and not only does his dialogue with Hornet make me unbelievably uncomfortable, but the first time that you utilize the spa, you can see Krat actually trying to peep on her. So it's unbelievably satisfying to me that Hornet can actually get up and slap Krat right in the face. Because not only does he deserve it, but if you do this, the spa will always be free from now on, as it should be. And speaking of saving money, there are a few vendors that if you're not dying for the tools that they're offering and can wait a bit before getting them, then it might be best to save the time and the rosaries until Act 3. Because, well, a lot of the vendors just straight up die or go missing later on. But because of this, you can pick up their items that they otherwise would have sold you. So, well, some of the vendors I'm sadder to see go than others, but what do you think? And do you think that it's worth waiting? And maybe you've already gleaned that if you've ever been in Songclave and you hear the caretaker saying ahoy over and over and over again, that means he has a new piece of dialogue to share with you. So you should probably go talk to him if you ever want him to stop yelling. This has been strangled. What are you in my ear about oying about? Dude, we're having a conversation. This guy. But at least the great bell here grants us some sanctuary. We're amongst the blessed few, granted just a little more living. Dude, what are you on about? It took me way too long to realize this. I just thought he liked talking. Now on to a character I actually like. Trobbio! I am obsessed with Trobbio, probably one of my favorite bosses in the entire game. I genuinely cannot wait until we get other color variants that they bring out maybe later on, and can I talk about the music? Don't get me started. Well, did you know that Trobbio is hiding a couple of secrets that you might not have known about? The first one being that when you first defeat him, take it slow going in and out of this area, and you might notice that Trobbio will actually be playing dead, which is the first time I've ever seen something like this in Silksong, and it's definitely very fitting for him and his dramatic character. He is an actor after all. I think we'll be seeing a lot more Trobbio in the future. At least I hope. This next detail related to Trobbio really is something. In Silksong, you're offered to purchase a quill from Chakra in order to start drawing out your map. But did you know that if you choose not to buy Chakra's quill, you can actually pick up one of Trobbio's quills instead? He owns a red and a purple variant of the quill that you can take. In order to get the red one, you'll want to defeat Trobbio for the first time without owning a quill. But if you want the purple quill, you'll be able to ignore picking up both Chakras and the original red quill owned by Trobbio in order to take tormented Trobbio's purple one. What does it do? Really nothing, other than looking really cool. So maybe in fact it does everything. Well, some of the other cool things in Silksong are all of the secret rooms waiting to be uncovered. Some of them are harder to find than others, but here are a few of the ones that you might have missed, because some of them are hiding Silksong's best kept secrets. In Sinner's Road, you might have already encountered the boss, disgraced Chef Legoli, and his big buns, but once you defeat him and re-enter his kitchen, a new room will have been made available. On the ceiling, a door has been swung open and you can now jump up to find what looks to be a pickling room. There is nothing here for you to collect, but you can use your needle in to learn secret dialogue that says, preserved, remembered, essence. True essence, from you all, for you all. Pharloom's flavor, Pharloom's soul, shells to soak and define this holy taste. And well, given that Legoli was serving up a whole lot more than just cake, such as craws from Greymoor, I think I'll skip out on this meal. And once you're in Act 3 of Silksong, there's another hidden area that becomes accessible to you in the Cogwork core, and it's here that you can find one of the rarer items in the game. If you use Silksong in this particular area in the lower core, you'll be greeted by 2 Cogwork Clapper enemies. Once you defeat them, you'll be rewarded with a pristine core. This is a rare item that there are only 2 in the entire game, including this one. The other can be found in the Cauldron. You can choose to break this for 220 shards, and if you ask me, I would rather break this than Flick's Hornet statue that you're gifted any day of the week. I will never break this thing, it's just too cute. Okay, so if you've already 100%ed the game, you've probably already found this next secret area, Bolt Nest. But in case you haven't, this is one very unique area of the map that is also extremely well hidden. You can access Bolt Nest by traveling up to the right corner of the ceiling here in Sands of Karak. It can be kind of tricky to get up here, but it's definitely worth it as it's one of the most intriguing areas hidden in the game. There's a boss here and some really cool items to pick up. And definitely do not miss out on visiting Lost Verdana, one of the most beautiful and mysterious areas in the entire game. But in order to reach this location, you'll need to complete a lot of different tasks first in order to make it there. And here's how you can do it. While traveling through Sinner's Road, you might have come across the Green Prince. He's been locked up and you'll need to use a simple key to set him free. As you continue on your journey, you'll want to find him and speak with him in the Citadel, and then for a second time near the location of the Cogwork Dancers. Once you've done that, you'll then at some point, when you're ready of course, enter into Act 3 of the game, where you'll once again be able to find him, but now he'll be in a newly opened area here in Greymoor. It's here that you can now needle in and be transported to Lost Verdana, where you can meet new enemies and learn more interesting lore. It's here that you can also find the optional 4th heart for the quest of the Old Hearts that I mentioned earlier when we talked about Carmelita. You only need 3 hearts in order to complete the quest, so it's really up to you what you decide to do, but I would generally say that Lost Verdana is an area that you'll want to experience firsthand. And we sure have been to a lot of secret locations and places throughout Pharloom, so maybe you'll enjoy this next hidden detail in Bellheart. In the late game, you'll eventually be able to purchase a bell home right here in Bellheart. You can actually decorate here with various mementos that you collect throughout your time here in Pharloom. You can purchase things like a spa, a gramophone, and even paint your house. Just be thoughtful of what color you choose, because as of right now, you can never repaint it. Well, this is one little detail that I find very comforting. There's a bed in your bell home that Hornet can lay and rest in. And if you open your map while laying down, you can actually see her pull the map out and read it while laying down in bed. I think after all that she's been through, she deserves to look over all of her accomplishments while getting some much deserved rest. Those were the hidden details of Hollow Knight Silksong. Were there any that you didn't know about? And which of these were your favorite? If you have a detail that I haven't mentioned yet, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll do a follow-up in the future. Thanks so much for watching, and check out this video on other hidden secrets and rarities in games next. I'll see you on the next one, friends. Bye!